Recording started. Here we are, finishing off the first section. So starting with chapter 11, chapter 16, and then we'll go into the first two chapters of the next section, chapter 17 and 18. So before we dig into it, let's set the intention. Really want to just co-create a safe space so that we can all share this information that we're learning and really lift each other up. So there's no judgment or criticism, there's just support and encouragement. So why don't we just go around and do a quick check-in and see what was your takeaway, what were your thoughts based on the information that we just read. You want to go around clockwise? Rami, you want to start?
This is my first session. Hey guys, so I got big expectations, but I don't know what to expect. But I got good. I feel good about it, so I'm excited.
Awesome, excited to have you, Donna.
I love this stuff.
Yeah. Is that a mic drop right there? Daniel?
I love this stuff as well. Trying to get over this cough, so I had difficulty understanding some of the parts, but hopefully with when we discuss it, I'll help clarify some things.
Nice. Okay, cool. So Jenna?
Well, I have to admit I'm intimidated. There's like lots of vocabulary that I'm not getting, concepts that I'm of course not getting. But the comforting thing is, I read this statement that by the end you reach the end of trilogy, your veil of mysticism will be logically removed from our beginnings, and you will clearly understand the roots of our existence. So that gives me hope that maybe with the help of everybody here, I will understand the roots of our existence.
Right on. Yeah, I echo a lot of what you guys said. I love this stuff too. It's kind of feels different because we missed that one week, that one last weekend. And so I haven't looked at the book probably for, I don't know, the last few days, but this morning I opened it up to just quickly review what we're going to cover. And as soon as I started reading it, it started to give me a big picture again, and it was actually very refreshing because the past few days I've been stuck in my little picture and my ego and my drama. So when I come to this, it shows me my purpose and just shows me a bigger perspective. So I'm so glad that we're
cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited.
What's that?
I said I'm excited.
Yeah.
Because when I try to do things on my own or trying to get into it by myself, it's not the same. But when I feel all the energy from the group, it helps me so much. So I get psyched up about this. So I'm pumped up.
Nice. Yeah, I'm the same way. It's so much better doing it with people than doing it alone.
Yeah, you're right.
So many levels there.
I could really abuse that. Excuse me one sec.
Come on now.
Nobody was at the door. All right, sorry. I'm by myself and they're cutting trees out at the house, so I just want to make sure nobody dies.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so let's jump in. I didn't have anything from chapters 11 or 12. Did you guys have anything?
I liked it went out with Eric. I really thought that was good.
Yeah.
I had something. I had something highlight as well, like with as with Donna, with going out with Eric. Now, out of body experience, I understand that it's to a different reality. But didn't he say at one time that you don't take your body with you? It's more of a I don't even know how to explain it, but isn't it? It's more of a like an experience that you see, right? So with Eric hitting his head on the ribs of the whales.
Right. Yeah.
How is that? It's a physical experience, right? Do you experience physical things when you're out of body, or is it more of a I don't even know how to explain it. It's it's to me, I thought it was kind of strange at first, but yeah. So I guess the thought is the question is, do you Do you
Yeah.
physically get out of your body, or do you mentally get out of your body?
It's weird. It's a different part of you. Like people have called it ethereal and astral body, and yet you interact with your environment, and it can be physical. It feels physical, even though whatever it is. But yeah, you definitely can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I went out of body and unexpectedly, I didn't think you could see animals. And my dog showed up and running and toward me, my dog that had passed away. And I was able to kneel down and just hug her, and I could, feel. I mean, it was as real as the physical world. It's in fact probably more real, more. I could feel her texture, herself. I mean, much in a deeper level. So yeah, when he said that about the whale, I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Kind of a Bob Monroe experience, kind of what an out of body, what I would call a traditional Bob Monroe out of body. I think there's different kinds.
What's interesting to me about this chapter is this is actually the one chapter that got me hooked onto his work, was reading this actual chapter. When I got to this is when it hooked me and said, okay, I want to see what the next part of it is. But then again, I got lost in section 2, so it doesn't matter. But at least made me interested enough to be talking to you guys today. I still follow them enough because of this chapter right here.
Did anyone else go? Has anyone else gone out of body that can answer Daniel?
I have, but I don't recall any physical. I was floating the whole time. It wasn't like I was like I am now, just in another dimension. It was definitely something different. It was like I was just an orb, or I was seeing it from like a camera's perspective. Everything that I did. So it wasn't like I could see my hands or my body. It was just kind of like this camera walking around. So I would have to say that I never experienced anything physical.
Right. To me, I always thought that out of body would be more a visual data that you're receiving versus.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I think there's many of them, and what Tom helps us to get to is that what Rami's saying. So yeah, I think there's that type.
Okay.
I'm not that experienced.
Mm-hmm.
From my experiences, it seems I've had what Rami's talking about, and then what Bob Monroe talks about. Maybe I went with my dog with a Bob Monroe meditation, and then I did the orb when I did a Tom Campbell binaural beats. Maybe that's the key. I don't know. I'll have to put it down.
Yeah, but Daniel, I think you're right, because that's what Tom explains, right? You get a new data stream, and then it's still up to you to interpret that data stream. And because we're so used to having physical bodies, we often interpret it as though we have a new physical body, or a physical body.
Right. And then when he talked about, when Eric felt his head touching the ribs, I thought, is that out of body, or is that an actual? Did his whole physical body leave and no,
it didn't feel like that.
Right. So
it didn't feel like it. I felt the experience in a physical way, but I knew it wasn't. It was a different body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in the book, his physical body wouldn't have left, right? That would defy the rule set for his physical body to leave.
Yeah.
He would do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm questioning, like, so if your physical body's still here, how can you leave your body and still feel? Right.
Well, you don't actually have a physical body. That's the whole thing. It's just, again, data that
it's
we're
a different
getting.
part of your body. Yeah, it's not your. I didn't take my physical body with me, but I felt things in a physical way with whatever.
Right.
Whatever that was.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
On page 92, conscious intent is everything. When he kind of like Rami, how do you say your name right?
Rainy.
Ramey.
But I hear it all, so nothing offends me. Rami, Rami, Rami. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I say Rami.
Rami.
Yeah.
Ramey. On page 92, conscious intent is everything. Space and time are not fundamental. That was a big one for me. So yeah, this chapter, I never thought of it until you said that, but yeah. And then he said, I have so much to learn. I thought, wow. If he felt that after all those experiences, then I feel like just scratching the surface of something. So
Mhm.
I'm not on the same page as you guys. I can't relate. Sorry.
Page 92.
No, I'm using Google Books because
Oh.
some douchebag didn't give me my book.
It's at the end. It's the last. At the end. It's at the end of chapter 11.
Second to last page in chapter 11.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so he says, I have so much to learn, suddenly overwhelmed by the unfathomable depth and complexity of reality.
Mhm.
I've just begun to scratch the surface. And again, his experiences, whenever I read something like that, I go, oh, if he had a way to go, how much more do I have? And then I try not to compare that, but I do. So.
Also, before that section,
No, I am not on 92. Sorry, guys. It's dead on. That was on 92. So yeah, I'm on the same page.
Okay.
Cool.
Crack. Momentary crack. Sorry.
also the part when page 91 when he's talking about seeing the clouds, the mushroom clouds. He's saying that he's in a different state of consciousness, and I was thinking about the last meeting that we had where you're talking about the different states of the frequencies on it, and I thought, what frequency was he at that time when he saw the clouds?
Remember, he was tested at Duke, and he had the highest gamma reading.
Yeah, right. Okay.
There's a brainwave above that, lambda, that I think he probably, if he was tested, he'd be up in there. I would think that's what I would suspect. So he was
how to do that.
in beta and lambda at the same time. So you can be in both, but it's said in one of the pages where he said how much work it was to let people know. I think on page 112, it says, what I learned was more by virtue of hard work and a focused interest. So he's doing a lot of work. This isn't something that, like Bob Monroe had people have spontaneous out-of-body near-death experiences, and he said he didn't have all of that. So I think for him, that's why I have the mind mirror, and that's all it is. And that you can be in both states. You can be in beta, awake, and yet having these gamma and lambda experiences. Those high frequencies that they call the God frequency. You can see God in gamma and lambda. So he's probably, that's what I would guess.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of practice and hard work in order to attain those states, right?
Yeah.
So just going over to page 100, in the middle there, he's talking about the test that he was given. Remember how he was given those like standardized tests? That blew me away, especially how so many other people have had the same exact test, including Bob Monroe. But in the middle there, the third paragraph at the end, he says, there were problems that tested ego and desire with sexual enticement, some of which were bizarre. There were choices between helping others and pursuing your personal path. They played to my emotions and ego, tried to install fear, and probed how well I truly understood love. So these were the tests that he was given in the non-physical. And the thing is, we're given these tests every day here in the physical, right? But like I don't treat them as tests. Like I was saying last time, I'm like this hedonist that totally just forgets the big picture and pursues all my passions and my pleasures. But when I read this, I'm reminded that, yeah, man, if I want to go to the non-physical, I got to pass the test here in the physical first. So yeah, that was a big wake up.
Well, I just hear it's like if you're wrong, you know, what did you learn? But if you're in your non-physical matter reality, it's like if you're wrong, no, go back to your physical matter, go back to PMR and redo and start learning some more until you get it right, right?
Yeah, they're like, go back to kindergarten, man. You're not allowed here. Yeah.
This is the first time I've referred back to the book since I originally read it 10 years ago. So this is totally trippy for me to start reading this stuff again.
Yeah. 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 On the next page over there, on page 101, at the last paragraph, or the second to last, he's talking about the tests again. He's saying, I was learning to control my mind, manipulate non-physical energy, make the right choices for the right reasons, think fast and act fast. I was learning to follow directions and to break old PMR conceptual habits. I was becoming efficient and effective in NPMR. I was learning to focus and control. Eventually, after much practice, I began to feel competent and strong, like an athlete ready to walk in the arena. I just think that's so cool.
That'll psych you up right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I know I need to like post that on my wall so that I can start training like this every day.
To be your daily mantra.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in that, as an athlete, I used to keep a notebook of my workouts and how I was progressing, and I could look back on this date I was here, and this date I was there. Well, I'm doing the same thing with this. So I'm practicing every day, and I have my notebook, and I write down my little experiments, and I know when I go back, I realize, oh, I have moved forward, even though it doesn't feel like it. Like you, Vanessa, you get caught up in this 3D sometimes, but I always make time to practice this. So I really liked that one, and I didn't highlight it, but I am going to put it up. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good reminder.
I like it.
You know what I'm going to do? I'll take a picture of it and I'll post it in our WhatsApp group too, so that we have it.
Well, for people can see it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else from, I guess, moving on to the next chapter? The kid is weird enough.
I was sad.
You were sad, when he got locked out?
I was sad. Yeah. I've been instructed to seal off this passage. You will no longer be allowed to exit your body. Even when he was still young. I thought, oh. As it turned out, he wasn't shut out entirely, but I think those things happen when you're taking steps. That sometimes you get into this space where nothing seems to be happening.
Yeah.
I guess that you just get caught up in the, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I guess that just means that you get caught up in the, you get caught up with your ego.
Yeah, yeah.
And then everything else, we're back at, it's a vicious circle. I mean, we're constantly fighting to get into that state. I don't know why he was blessed with the ability to just be able to be where he needs to be, get rid of the ego, freaking go to other dimensions, communicate with different entities so easily. It's so easy for him. And he talks about it like it's so easy, but it's hell. I can't even get my library card back. So
not yet. Oh.
Yeah, I think he's been working lifetimes and lifetimes though to get to where he is, right? Like
that's it.
He did it so young. He was so young. I mean, if you read it, he was in his 20s.
He was even before that.
Go where he needed to go. And
he was like 12, I think, right? 12 or 14.
Yeah.
I think I'm going backwards with him, like, because he makes me realize how, whatever I believed or thought before was wrong. So that's why I don't like going. That's why I don't like Tom, is because it makes me face reality, and realize that I'm not nowhere where I need to be. But then, of course, I know that's what I need to do. So I listen to him, and then it gives me hope, that I can become a normal person. I wonder what it would be like to be like him, not to have ego or, very minimalistic ego and be able to function, that way, like like he talks about in the book. That's got to be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine it is. Yeah. Well, even before though, he said, I can't remember what chapter it was, but he talked about how he said, because most of my work is in NPMR, it's easy for me to keep a low profile here in PMR, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. And the ego, I think, is just something here in PMR, but so he doesn't have that. He doesn't really need it. He's worked through it. But then his challenge is coming in NPMR, right? So he's probably doing some crazy stuff over in NPMR. We can't even fathom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On the top of 104, when the I guess the guiders are telling him that we're going to shut the door, and he said to him, "You've completed what you were doing." So I put a question mark. What did he complete? Like, what are all the stuff that he has completed?
I think it was like all the training, because every night he was going through training, he was doing all these tests, right?
Yeah. Be nice to know what all these tests, all these trainings are.
Dude, we gotta pass these PMR tests first.
I'm very inquisitive.
I was just curious. I wonder if somebody could explain it to me when he says that he could hear those voices of his guides. Did he hear them in his head, or did he hear them like with his ears from the outside?
I feel like it's in his mind. Like
I think one thing that's always stuck with something that Tom's told me, or that said, not told me, but said in group, is that everything is really just what is the word that he used? It's that nothing's real. I mean, it's just like religion, and I can't think of the word now. I'll remember. Everything is just symbolic. That's what I'm looking for.
Metaphor, yeah.
Everything is what did you say?
Metaphor.
Metaphor. That's exactly what he said. Everything's a metaphor. So I think when you say hearing, it's just how it's the easiest thing for us to understand, but it's just a metaphor. In reality, I think you just get the image out there, and it's not really happening like it does here in this reality. I think you can see everything mentally. You don't hear auditory stuff going on. I think that's just the way to verbally, put it on paper so that we can understand it. Do you agree, or do you think I'm crazy?
No, it is, and it's how it, for me, is telepathic.
Right.
So it's like a packet of information being shot into your head, and it unfolds and blooms, and then you understand it. Mm-hmm. So it's not not auditory, but you can. It's like you know the feeling because you had intuition and you had that little voice tell you things. It's like that, only bigger, stronger, different, but like that. I'm guessing. For me, in my experience, it's been like that.
Yeah.
Could it be the different types of data we're getting it, and it's how we receive it, how we best receive it, and how we interpret it?
It definitely has to do with the individual, and I'm talking now about my near-death experience. So, yeah, it was very telepathic, and it was very much geared to me and my path, and my worldview at the time. That's as close as I can get. It's helping you with that.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Like Daniel, you were saying when his son, and when he was going out of body with Eric, and then Eric felt his head hitting against the ribs of the whale. So that's how he was interpreting the information, the experience that he got. But it's the same thing, Bojana, when you say like his guides, they were speaking to him however they speak to him. I think it's just Tom was getting this information and then interpreting it as guides and communicating with him. It's really just information, though, right? And like Emily was saying, they're all metaphors. The metaphors that we use, we get this information, we put it into our own context so that we can understand it, and it's going to be different for everybody.
Right.
Fascinating.
Unique. Everything that happens is unique for each individual's experience, I would imagine.
Yeah. Nobody sees the same thing the same way, right?
Right.
What about chapter 15 here with a little bit of help from my friends? How's your love life? You guys get anything from there? I would just wish Pam was on the call because
Yeah.
maybe that's why she didn't make it today.
Come on, Pam.
He talks about how the guides are telling him that, you know, he's supposed to get married and then have a kid, and then, but his true found love is, you know, is 14 years younger than he is, and that kind of stuff. And it almost seems like the path is already created for us, and so, you know, when I was reading, I thought, you know, do we actually create our future, or is it given to us and we just let it happen for whatever reason?
Yeah, he said that some people that are really are scripted, but most people are not scripted. Most people just need any experience, and therefore we create our destiny. Right?
So you think we create our own future?
Yeah, we absolutely do. And even with Tom, he's talked about this a lot. Even with him, they've given him a script, but he still has free will, and he can create whatever he wants to do. He doesn't have to follow that script.
But it was told that he's got to do it, right?
But he still has the choice not to listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
At one point, he even like missed it, didn't pass the test.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he did the standardized test, you mean? Like when he failed the last?
He was kind of like joking.
Oh, in the beginning.
Yeah. But it's kind of nice how he said, I always knew growing up that there were non-physical entities available to help me. Like, wouldn't it be great if everybody had that feeling that they always had those entities helping? And they looked after me, and I knew it. He was like, he knew it. He wasn't guessing. He was just positively convinced that it's there. He will be always helped.
Yeah. And I feel like we all do have these physical, non-physical entities. We all do have these guides. It's just that a lot of us don't go there because we're so stuck in this physical reality that we don't think there's anything beyond it. And there is so much more. There's so much help available for us, but we close ourselves off to it. Yeah. But we can all have that knowing that there is, that LCS has our back, or whatever you want to call it. We have guides with us.
Right. Well, there's a page on 109 that says, you know, is what you are supposed to do is part of the larger plan. Marry her is the next step for you, and you will be the best thing for everyone, including her. So are you saying that this is the path for him, but he could have changed it?
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering now what would have happened if he had changed it. If he had, you know, instead of listening to the guides, what would have happened? Because I thought it was pretty clear that you have to do this no matter what.
No, you can't force anybody to do anything. He even said, he's like, my intuition nudged me to go, you know, take this job over in some other county or city. He's like, I could have not listened to that, and if I didn't listen to that intuition, I never would have met Pam.
True.
But followed it, and then
It brings up the question of free will.
Yeah.
There is free will.
We talked about that a lot in Vancouver. If you did the YouTube for the Vancouver, there was someone that asked him that question about free will, and he was very strong in his answer that we have free will. And it's like Vanessa said, he's talked about some people are advanced, and some of the advanced people have very strong scripts, And then the rest of us were still, evolving. Like Rami said, he's there, but I'm here, and they're at different levels. So, yeah, he says we have free will. We do have free will.
We do have free will. It's a matter of us using it and listening to our intuition.
Right.
And yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of, is free will. I don't want to have to make the decision. Tell me what to do, you know?
Yes, you can. You can do it.
Do it for me. Yeah.
That's the hard work part.
Yeah.
You can't, it's like people like where you're at, but they don't want to do the work to where you're at.
Right.
That's where jealousy comes in, I think, for some people. It's like, do the hard work. That's why it's hard. It's not easy. Not everybody can do this, but you're here. You're here, so you are working. You are doing something.
Just give it to me on a silver platter.
And that's precisely why we are here, right? To exercise our free will.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Daniel, I don't think you want it that easy.
No, he doesn't.
I think he's pulling our leg.
Okay, so next chapter 16. Here we go again. I like the first paragraph. In the middle, he says, "I'd learned that the so-called phenomena or powers, paranormal events, were only an artifact of a path well taken, not the objective or the destination."
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's super helpful for me, because oftentimes I'm like, oh, I just wish I could go out of body. I wish I could experience these alternate reality frames. But really, it comes down to, Vanessa, just get rid of your fear, your ego, your insecurities, and then all that stuff will naturally come. That's not the objective here. The objective is to get rid of your fear and become love. And all those things you want will be a benefit to you. It's just a bonus, right?
Yeah.
Not ready yet to experience that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easier said than done as well, right? Getting over your fear.
I think it's tied into ego, because it's very scary to lose your ego. It's part of the ego's job is to keep you alive. So there's the two fears, fear of the unknown and fear of death. And so when you're lying there in your meditation and you can feel your ego leaving, it's extremely frightening. And so I just keep saying, I need to do this to evolve. So
Here you go. Yeah.
and out you go. So very frightening.
Interesting, because I've heard that before. I met this guy last week. Yeah, Danielle, I'm going to talk about dating right now. I knew you would wait for it.
Yeah.
Keep your streak up.
You gotta get that.
I went on this date with this guy, and then he started talking. He brought it up, actually. I didn't even read into this, but he brought up the called the paralysis, sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And then he talked about how sometimes he would experience going out of his body. And then I'm like, oh, what was it like for you? And he said it was frigging scary. He was like, it was so scary. I just felt all this like, darkness. And so it's interesting that some people, they'll experience their fear in that out-of-body state, right? Whereas for me, I have enough fear going on here that I guess I don't get to go. I feel like if I went out of body, I would be like, bring it, bring it, bring it. And I would be but that's totally my ego right there, as I say it.
Well, there's a difference, Vanessa, when you're in the process of leaving your body and then being out of body.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that processing is where that fear is, and you can work with it as you're realizing for me, it was an actual slipping out of an ego. It actually felt visceral, like there was my ego And it was very frightening, but once you pop out, man, it's like, okay, let's go. But that it's very, that part is what I'm saying, that process. And I'm glad you guys were agreeing with that. You have that experience, yes?
The process of leaving the body?
Yeah, Rami and Daniel, you were saying, yeah?
Yeah, that's the only feeling I remember was that shaking and then that tingly. I got a tingly feeling. I don't know that that's uniform, but I got kind of like when your foot goes to sleep or something, that kind of tingling feeling. But it felt like that all over. It just felt like, but it didn't last. As soon as I became aware of whatever reality I was going to, those feelings went away. Then I just became focused on what was around me.
Exactly, yes.
Mm.
And it does.
I've only ever experienced that, the vibrations that everybody talks about. I've only ever experienced that one time, and it was before I dove into any of this material. It was at a Vipassana 10-day meditation retreat, my first one on like day 7, and my whole body started shaking. And I remember after that, I was like, "Oh my God, that was amazing!" Like I loved it. For me, it was like something's actually happening. So, but never again, never got it again ever since then. And I didn't even know it was the vibrational state until then I came to visit and learn more about MBT and all that.
Yeah, I've only noticed of getting out of body once, and I don't remember or wasn't aware of my body shaking. So
Yeah, it's different for everybody, right? And Tom even said he realized after a while that you didn't need that anymore.
You don't need that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't need that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Vanessa. I just wanted to share so I've had that shaking and that freight train in your ears, and that was not frightening. That process was not frightening.
Oh,
What was frightening was leaving the ego, it's yourself. It's like unzipping and putting Donna, your actual, everything that you know in this world that's related to you. And then you're becoming this, who you really are, your higher self, whatever people say. It's that, it's almost like death. In fact, my near-death experience wasn't as frightening as letting go of the ego.
wow.
That's the fear that I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, I'm in the dark. What can I ask? What near-death experience you had? Was that?
Yeah, I was in a boating accident and was being towed underwater, drowning.
That's not good at all.
No, that's why they call it near death.
Yeah, how long ago was this?
In 97.
Oh, so you did you talk about it in the last deal? I didn't hear you talk about it.
I don't think so. I don't think I've shared that with anyone. I think I might have said I've had one.
Wow.
Yeah, that was, and so it got me on the path of this, and I wasn't really, I do it kind of part-time because I was working. And then when I retired 3 years ago, I was able to jump in this finally, and that's when things really started. When I got to swallow the red pill, the matrix. So yeah, my near death, I was following people that were saying things, like they'd say, "Oh, I had a near death and I experienced this." I'm going, "Oh my God, yes." And I'd read some more, and then someone else would say, "This was my near death experience." So, yeah, I was, so you die before you know it. I mean, I was drowning, wondering how the heck I was going to get out of this situation, and then
How did you get out of the situation?
I was out of body. I was I went to the source. The telepathic. That's why I knew about how the telepathy works and how it's all individual. Because you're given, I was given a ton of information about knowledge, a ton of knowledge about things. So, yeah. That's why when we're doing this work, I'm going, yeah, this is like that. This is like death.
How did you like not drown? How were you saved or whatever?
Yeah, so I was dead, drowning. I swallowed too much water, and my brother-in-law who was driving the boat, said he felt a hand on his shoulder. Turned around, and so I'm having this near-death experience. We finish up, me and the source, back drowning. And I went, oh man, what was that? I'm drowning. What the heck? And when the boat stopped, I started, swimming. I had my life jacket on. I started swimming to the top. And I thought, as a scientific person, as a science person, how are they going to get the rope undone? It's embedded in my leg. As soon as I thought that, the rope came undone. And I said, well, that's physically impossible. Now, this is happening within seconds. And so as I'm swimming toward the surface, I felt hands under my arm lifting me like faster. And I thought it was my sister. And I got to the top and I'm spitting out, all this water. And I looked at my leg and I thought, oh, okay, well, it's cut in half. I better hang on to the one part of it, because if I kick, I'll lose it. And I want to have it with me when I go to the emergency room. So it was a freak. My brother-in-law, there was nobody there tapping on his shoulder. The rope came undone. My leg was not amputated, it was strangled to the bone. So it looked like it was cut in half.
Wow.
Gosh.
But the near-death experience, when you leave, it took me a whole lot longer to explain than what happened. I knew I was dead. I knew I was leaving. I knew I was going to the source. I could look back and the earth was shrinking. I knew I had no cares about any of my loved ones, that everyone is all taken care of. Then I had a telepathic conversation with the larger consciousness system. We talked, he asked me a question, I answered it, and he liked my answer, and I was thrown back in. That's basically, there's more to it, but that's, basically.
That's the Reader's Digest.
When we do these things and we read this book and we hear about Tom, all this is so true. And so he's on a path, he's on a different path, a different trajectory, but he's evolved. He's paid the price. He's done the work. A shortcut. And when you're given these knowledge packets, they bloom through the years. So that was 97, so 21 years ago. I'm still getting, some downloads from that experience. It was so tremendous.
That's incredible. It's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's amazing. Your direct experience, right? That's what you need. We all need to have direct experience.
And then I've gone out of body since that, but only within the last 3 years.
And all you had to do was die?
That's it.
That was my path. And Daniel, I did not have a choice.
Right.
I think the rope was impossible how the rope got around my leg anyway. It was physically impossible for how that rope got around my leg. So it's like, well, that had, people say, how did that happen? Apparently that was something I didn't have a choice in, or I already had made that agreement or whatever. Yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, that's far out. Well, you guys are going to bring it back into, chapter 16. The next paragraph down, so the second paragraph, he says, I also learned that the bigger picture was centered on the quality of your consciousness, the evolution of your being.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
Yeah, and he says that it became apparent that the rate of learning accelerates. The more you know, the faster you learn. That's motivation right there too, right? To learn more, to gather more information.
And that's very true. That's really very true.
It motivates me to want to learn more, right? So I can learn faster and understand all the stuff that's going on.
You can grow faster, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what I love a little bit further on down the last paragraph in the middle there, he says, I was given an unusual opportunity to work in a fascinating field with a good teacher, and I took full advantage of it by working hard and being dedicated and conscientious in my effort. So when I read that, I kind of feel like we're all given this pretty incredible experience to work with a really good teacher. And it's up to us to work hard with it and not just take this for granted, but really make something of ourselves, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, just to kind of wrap up that section 1, very last sentence, and that chapter says, remember, the evidence as well as the key to understanding lies within your own experience. Nowhere else. Yeah.
It's the pudding, right?
This is in the pudding, that's right. So we got about 40 minutes left, so maybe we can use that time to look at chapters 17 and 18 in the next section.
Now, you guys haven't read this yet, correct?
I haven't.
Oh, nobody's read this yet? Oh, really? I thought we were reading chapter 17.
I thought we were ending at 16. I thought.
We were, and then we added on 2 more chapters because we missed last week.
I missed that.
Daniel, did you read it?
I read 17 and parts of 18.
And Bojana?
I read them both.
Okay.
Remy?
Yeah, 10 years ago, and I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll read it fast. Read it fast so you get
Chapter 17, I don't think you can read it fast. There's a lot of information.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Maybe we're supposed to be reading it together.
Yeah.
Something to get out of this one.
yeah, that's true. Okay, well, why don't we start with 17 then? So I know Daniel and Bojana, you guys both did read it. Did anything stand out on the first page?
Well, no, not the first one. I have highlighted that on the second page that mysticism that supports our cultural belief is accepted as obvious fact. And that's what we quite often believe because it's an accepted cultural belief, but it's not an actual fact, and that changes as the science evolves as well. And here he says, seeing the big picture requires more than intellectual capacity. It also requires transcending ingrained belief systems. And that's what we all need to, I guess, work on, of being open-minded to be able to change our current belief systems, because otherwise it's really hard to absorb this tremendous amount of knowledge. Because as he says, you cannot experience what you're not aware of, or something like this. To give a comparison to this bacteria in the stomach, how bacteria is not aware of the outer world because it's not needed for the bacteria to be aware of it. So we also may not be aware of the outer world in the same way as bacteria in our stomach is not aware of what's happening outside of our system.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I like that. Has anybody seen the movie or read the book Flatland? Yeah.
No, I started to, because is that the one he recommended about the 2D and 3D?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think I saw that. There's a YouTube video on Flatland as well.
Yeah, there's a whole movie. I think Charlie Sheen is one of the voices, actually.
He is.
Yeah, right?
We need to do that. I need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great depiction of how we go about our lives and thinking we know it all, but really there's so much more out there. And that's
right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Setting another reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a little bit further down on page 117, the second paragraph, the last sentence. He says, the fact is, you will never be able to see the big picture as long as you focus on individual politically correct pixels. that to me is actually like, that's exactly what I've been going through is most of my days are filled with me focusing on the details or getting like trapped or stuck over the little details. But then when I revisit this material, it opens me up to see the totality of it all. So I'm really thankful for this reminder to understand my purpose. I was talking with somebody yesterday about philosophy, and I was asking him, I'm like, so what do you think? What do you think? Why do you think we're here? Why do we exist? And then he says to me, oh, well, nobody knows and we can never know. And I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, and everybody just makes up stories to think that they know. And I'm like, so what's the story you're making up then? Is it ignorance is bliss? And he's like, well, it depends. What's the definition of ignorance? But that's the definition, that we don't know and there's no way we will ever know. And, you know, like Flatland, we're stuck in this 2D reality and that's all there is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So really just opening our mind to finding more, to seeing more. And that's why, Donna, we were talking about last time, like, the whole like DMT and, you know, like trying to expand your mind that way. I feel like oftentimes that can, at least my previous experience with psychedelics and all that, has been an inflation of my ego, if anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know, because when I heard you talking about how you let go of your ego, and that was a little bit scary. For me, it's like it's all ego. It's like all Vanessa and what Vanessa thinks, and it's so I don't know that that's transcending my beliefs and opening me up to anything more. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. But look that you said that out loud.
Good that I said that out loud.
Yeah, that means that you sacrificed your ego to say that in front of us.
Yeah.
That's a movement. That's a step.
That's the moment. That's it.
You know, you look for great giant things when every day they're little things, you know, that you could be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're working on that every day. I don't know. I think it helps that I had that in my background, that athletic training. I think that was important because I know what it's like to sacrifice. And it's okay. You know, and when I tell people, you don't have to have it as a big sacrifice. It's like, look at your day and can you fit in like even a 15-minute meditation? That's all you need. And you're just sacrificing something in 3D in order to knock on the door of 5D. It's only 15 minutes. Surely you have, you know, we have 15 minutes. And look at what you choose in that time. And that all that helps. All that, you know, and Suzanne said it last week too, is that even if you don't have the big event that you're looking for, the psychic phenomena and all of that, that you're evolving for your next life. You're progressing, you're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm a teacher, I can't help it.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Stop me. Just say, okay, thanks. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't like talking about the next life because I know I'm coming back, sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming back like 2 or 3 or 4 times at least.
And I don't
right there with you.
Don't look at past lives either. Just deal with the life you have now. I mean, some people, there's friends that get caught up in that, and I understand, you know, my past life, I was able to, well, what are you doing with this one? I don't mean in a cavalier way or that they're not experiencing some angst, but he talked about transcending. And so there's sometimes you have to just transcend beliefs. You have to transcend your fear. You have to transcend your ego. It really is about your conscious effort. What is in your mind? What is in your mind?
Mm-hmm.
And what is your intent? I intend to do this. I don't know. There I go again. Stop.
No, it's good. I like it.
Okay. I'll be quiet. We'll go to 118.
Yeah, it's good to be reminded of this because it's through repetition, right? It's through repetition is how we learn. So we need to constantly be reminded of this. So back to the book on page 119, in the middle there, the third paragraph, where it starts, it is as easy. The last sentence where he says, we cannot be aware of what is beyond our awareness. However, we can be open to learning new things, and in the process, expand the scope of our awareness, and therefore our reality, to its outer limits. So, like you were saying, Donna, it's like that accumulative effect, where every day, if we're open, we get rid of the ego a little bit, then we open ourselves up even more and more. Because what stops me, at least, from learning is my ego that's like, oh, I got this. I know this. And what the hell do you know? I'm not listening. You know what I mean? So if I can recognize that and check my ego and open myself up to learning, and really we have opportunities to learn every day from every situation if we're open to it. From kids, from animals, from everybody, from each other.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's what Rami said. I like being here because I'd like to hear. I like to share this. I like to make little notes from what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Not that you're saying little things, I'm just making little notes.
Yeah.
You're saying very profound things.
That part,
I have a little physical note. Yeah. Very good.
When I read that part, I was thinking about how, our comfort zone, he's telling us we got to keep stretching our comfort zone, and the more we stretch, the more we grow. And the more we grow, our comfort zone gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that sort of helps us overcome some of our fears as well, because we're tackling all this new stuff that we're learning.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we don't tackle the fear because it's new and it's kind of scary sometimes.
It is scary. It's at times, like you said, Vanessa, there's things that are great fun. There are things that are great fun, but I don't know if they get closer to your breakthroughs. It's maybe where there's fear. I don't know.
I think there is correlation there. Yeah, the closer to your breakthroughs, there's fear. Yeah. And it's because when you do overcome that fear, that becomes a breakthrough because you level up, right? Yeah.
Now you're now comfortable at that thing that you were uncomfortable at first.
Yeah. That's really true, you guys.
But the discomfort is actually the sign that we're expanding and growing. Without the discomfort, we're just keeping, that comfort zone that doesn't allow us to expand.
Right. That's why there's that saying that's like, do something that scares you every day. Right?
Okay.
I can't remember who quoted this, but they said you have to learn how to be comfortable at being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah. And
That was
also
from a movie, wasn't it? You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That was like from a movie or something, I think.
I've heard it before, and I keep using it when I coach my clients.
And I think what helps us to be comfortable with what's uncomfortable is catching ourselves when our ego wants to justify, right? Oftentimes if something can feel scary or uncomfortable, then our ego wants to come in and be like, yeah, no, don't do that because only, like idiots do that, and I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to. And it talks you out of the thing that really it's just, no, I'm fearful and it's uncomfortable for me. But so first, like, let's just be honest with ourselves rather than letting the voice of the ego take control, Yeah,
you got to call yourself out on your own crap. You got to hold yourself accountable.
Exactly.
We have to be aware of when the ego is talking to us, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then having that free will to say, "Fuck you! I'm going to do what I want to do." Right?
Whoa!
So I have these little Post-it notes. I call them my little "fuck you" notes. And when I come across that each day, I will make a little note and I put it on my in the wall in the bedroom. And I actually had to take down, there's like 400 of them, and so I had to clean them all out. and start again, because in the beginning, I realized how much back shortly after my near death, how much I was really messing with. Now I probably have 2 or 3 on the wall. But that's 21 years. But I was overwhelmed by, okay, here's another one. Huh? Oh, here's another one. Oh, here's another one. I had no idea. So when you become aware, you do expand and you do grow, and you have these capacities that you didn't think you had. And it started with one little Post-it note.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's cool.
Name the price. Since we're quiet, I wasn't going to share this. I'll share this one thing. So I was a professional athlete. So I was a professional, actually signed a contract, was on TV, blah, blah, blah. And so I was a fast pitch softball. So we were the first league of professional women. And a kid came up to me in the doubleheader. And, we got our names on the back. Everybody knows who you are. And this kid came up to me. You could talk to the players. They came up to me and said, "Hey, Rick." Yeah? Come here. Okay. Said, I can do what you do. I'm a better athlete than you. I could do this. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, you're right." And she was kind of, "Well, what?" I go, "But there's a difference between you and me." She said, "What?" And I go, "I'm willing to pay the price to make my dream come true." Are you? And that I was 21 years old. And I kind of use that as what are you willing to pay the price? What price are you willing to pay? And I don't mean to be teaching or pontificating, or I'm just trying to share for me, what it's meant to start with 400, or realizing I have 400 Post-it notes and get it down to 2. Because I don't know, that's why I'm with you guys. It's like, what are you saying that I can use, that I can put on a Post-it note, or I can overcome, or I can, I don't know, just wanted to share it. Someone say, "Oh, Donna, that was good." I want you to keep doing that. Oh, yeah, okay.
That was really good. Yeah.
It was. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I think everything that y'all are talking is pretty good stuff. I mean, I get like something out of everything y'all are saying. I mean, I relate to everything that y'all say. There's nothing that anybody says that just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, everything relates. So I'm being serious. So yeah, everything y'all said is pretty good, in all honesty.
Yeah, and that point about, I'm willing to do what it takes to make my dreams come true. Because you're right, we all have that potential in us. We all do have it. But are you willing to evolve into your full potential? A lot of us, we don't. We don't even know what our potential is, or why we're even here. So I just love being around people that do want to do the work that we came here to do. The synergy that's created is quite profound. So
I think we have to all focus on what that potential is, and they identify it first, and then really, really focus on it. That's the key.
That's your
really
point, right?
Yeah. So there we go. That's a good topic. So what is that potential? I'm just gonna adjust the light in here because I look kind of crazy. But yeah, what is that potential? If we want to focus on it, what is that potential that we can evolve into?
Love.
Well,
Love, like really what Tom Campbell's definition of love. That's it for me, to grow up and love like he does. I want to love like that. It's not an end game, but that's the potential. Can you imagine the potential to have not one thought? I mean, I always tell people there's a selfish kind of thing that you do for yourself to grow. There's that. It seems like you're selfish. You're spending time by yourself reading and doing these things, but you're doing it to love. To love. We were doing a turkey drive, and we got assigned to very poor section of Phoenix. And I cried with how people gave. There were ladies, little old ladies that had, they only had they didn't even have $1. And they gave. They gave their money. And I was like, I really went home and cried. I was like, that's the love. I mean, real love. That's the potential to be in a space where that lady, I'll never forget her face. I mean, I'm like, you don't have, I'm trying to tell you, I always wanted to give her money. Like, you don't have to do this. No, I have to do this. Someone needs this. And I'm thinking, you're in tattered clothes, you don't have that many groceries, and you're giving me the last of your change. That's love. That's the potential of what Tom says, what we're to do. We're to do that. I did it again, didn't I?
No. Yeah.
That one was so. That wasn't like real.
You can do better. Come on.
Just keep trying. You're doing good. I'm messing with you. I'm joking. I'm sorry.
Oh.
What about for you, Bojana? What's the potential that you can evolve into? What's your potential?
Well, I'm still working on it, but I think we all have talents and gifts that we need to focus on, and by working hard on that particular whatever talent it is, this is our love. This is how our contribution to the collective. That the love doesn't have to be in just giving. It can be on hard work on yourself to expand your own potential, and that's how we contribute to the collective.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see the love as well. Like, work on yourself in whatever you notice that there is a potential, like the smallest one. Just keep on working on it until it becomes your huge talent. And that's like with you, Donna, being an athlete. Like, you had the potential, but by working hard, you were able to bring yourself to the highest ability.
Yeah, it's neat, because Bojana, you're saying like working on our kind of our individual gifts or talents and bringing that to the world as our service. And then Donna, you're saying like, same thing too, and then also contributing and making it about others and being connected to this larger consciousness of us all. And I like how we all have our own ways of saying it, because like Bojana, for example, when I see you, you're very open, like you're always wanting to connect with everybody. And Bojana's the type of woman who she's like, my home is open to the world, like anybody come on over. Like, you just got a really big heart. You're very inclusive. And so when you talk about your potential, you're like, I need to work on me. I need to, like go on my insecurities, whatever it might be, and work on improving my talents or evolving into my talent. So that's neat that you guys are saying the same thing in different ways. But Daniel, what about for you? What's your potential that you're evolving into?
Well, I'm as a coach, I want to help people realize what they're capable of, and helping them overcome their fears. And at the same time, I'm learning and growing myself, by joining this book club and learning and growing in other areas of personal development, so that what I'm learning, I can use that and coach my clients in terms of what can become of them. So I have, I've learned certain exercises. I've been able to be inspired so I can inspire my clients. So it's like what I take in, I give out as well, but at a larger level as well, because it's created more awareness for me. So then I help them create a bigger awareness. And once they see that awareness, then they can unlock opportunities for themselves. But then I also, through Tom's teaching, I've been more of coaching them of what's possible, not from the intellect level, but more from the intuition level, right? From the heart. So that's my new style of coaching, is coaching from the heart versus from the head. So that's something cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. I love that. Coaching from the heart rather than the head. That's awesome. Because we get enough coaching in the head, from the head in school, right? In our education.
That's a post-it note right there. Can you put that one? I'm writing that one.
Rami, what about you?
I have no idea. I was thinking about that while y'all were answering. You know, I guess from a I want to reach my full potential, whatever that is. But I think I really want to be a good father. You know, and I actually listening and talking and thinking about it makes me realize how bad of a father I am. And I'm not bad on, like, I don't beat my kid or do stuff like that, but on how much better I could be. Yeah. You know, if I could teach my kid these principles, you know, like now, and make them, that's my goal. You know what? I think that would be awesome if I could get my kid to be talking about the stuff that we talk about and make it normal for him. So as he grows up, he's already, I mean, he's 9. So imagine by the time he's 18, he's talking about this stuff like it's, you know, like Tom's kid, you know, Eric, you know, he got to experience all these cool things early on in life. And I would love that to happen for my kid.
Vanessa, for you?
Yeah. For me, evolving into my full potential looks like.
Excuse me, 1 second.
Yeah, okay. Being absent of my insecurity. So letting go of the I'm not good enough, you know, yeah, letting go of that. So it sounds kind of like it's not a big thing to strive for, and sometimes I feel like I need to put it in a bigger context so that it doesn't shrink me into this little, you know, like being just facing it head on all the time. So that's why being in these kind of groups opens me up and helps me to see that there's so much more, and that I don't have to feel insignificant or, you know, inadequate or whatever those feelings are that a lot of us have, but we don't always own it. And sometimes I feel like I'm owning it, but then I don't want to get stuck there either, you know, like own it and then move forward, you know? Yeah, don't just always be facing it. It's like, okay, it's here, but I'm going to move forward. I'm going to face the fear and do it anyway and do things that scare me, like we were talking about. So yeah, that's what it looks like to me, is just to be absent of insecurities and to feel empowered and have that large capacity to love. Yeah.
Vanessa, on my fuck it post-it notes, it's what you're writing is what you're telling something to go, fuck it, you know, that this fear I no longer own. I'm going to write it out, and then I put it on the wall. You're gone, out of me, you're done.
Done.
But I'm not enough. Fuck that, and then I put my post-it note out. And see that, like, oh yeah, when those come, I already told it to take off.
Right.
I'm really glad I'm not the only one that cusses. I'm like so happy.
I say it, but you notice I say it really like, you know, it's not very strong. It's,
yeah, you know, you're not passionate about it, but you're using the word, so I'm okay. I'll take that. I'll take that.
Right on. Well, you guys, we got like 12 minutes here, so I'm thinking we can wrap it up with a closing circle, and then we'll just do section 2. I know a lot of people didn't read 17 and 18, and we'll do 5 more chapters for the next one.
So starting from 17, 18, and then 5 more on top of that?
No, we'll do 20. We usually do about 20 pages, so I'll send it out to the group, but I think it's going to be like 17 to 21. Or 17 to 20. I don't know. I'll send it out to the group.
okay.
Cool. It just dawned on me, yeah, you really got to have the book. It's hard to do it without the book in front of you. Now I see what you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot easier with the book.
Yeah.
Find your library card,
I'll get a book by tomorrow. I want to do the next one. I'll be overseas, but I'll do it. I calculated the time. It'll be 8 in the evening, or 6 in the evening, but I can do it. I can pull it off.
Like you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. You add a different perspective to the whole group. So
I'm sorry, I do that, and it's not intended. It's, well, semi-intended, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a post-it note for you.
Yeah.
find your library card too.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Get your library card, get a book, and join us.
Book.
Yeah, I'll get a book.
Well, I want to see you guys with Post-it notes next week.
I will.
Some Post-it notes. You know, Rami was one of the first guys that I met on this journey into Tom Campbell's material. We met at the Monroe Institute like 3.5, 4 years ago. We were there for who was the guy? Well, Bill Bowman.
Bowman.
OBEs. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole time during Bielman's workshop, I was telling Rami, I was like, I don't know about this Bielman, man. Like, you got to check out this other guy, Tom Campbell. He's a physicist, and he helped start the Monroe Institute. You should go. He's coming here. You should go. And then Rami's like, I'm signed up. I'm doing it.
But I had already read the first book.
You'd already read it?
Yeah. Then when you talked about it, but you see, but you know, the thing that's interesting is that his perspective is completely different than anybody else's.
Yes.
Everybody else's is more that voodoo stuff, you know, it's kind of that foo-foo, you know, it's Gucci'd up. It's real Gucci'd up. And this is just so
straight to the point.
Intense. It's intense. It's the only word that I know how to use. That's the single best adjective that I can think of. It's just so intense, and it's humbled me so much, because if you really listen to what he says, then basically we're all pieces of crap, you know. Well, we are, you know, and you got to go. And it's like, holy shit! So everything that I thought of my life was wrong, and now I got to start over. And you know, that's why I feel bad about my kid. You know, I brought him into this world, and I've been giving him the wrong crap this whole time, and it's like. You know, but it's cool though. At the same time, and he doesn't get sidetracked with all the you know, the landscape. He's so focused on the journey, you know, where we're going, that you know, that's why he won't talk about aliens or other stuff, even though all that stuff is probably really interesting and it exists on some level within the realm of what we're talking about. He doesn't, because he sees it as a distraction. What's the point? Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay, fine. Now move on. And that's what makes me, I think, stay focused. You know, it's hard to grasp it, but it always brings me back, because it's kind of like the true thing. There's no foo-foo with this. There's no frills. It's just like, hey, man, either you dig it and this is what it is, and grow up, or you can go hang on to all the frills and do your voodoo Gucci'd up version of this stuff. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Or
yeah, totally does. Totally does. That was the whole thing when we were at Bowman's. I was like, oh, I don't know about this, man. That's a lot of decoration adding to it. Yeah. Not that means but everybody has their own way of interpreting it, right? So yeah. Not sense of any dogma or frills, and just give it to me how it is, you know.
I love how intense it is. It's really drew me to it. I like it. No frills. Go.
Yeah. Exactly.
I turned on Bielman pretty bad though after we went to Tom's. You remember, I'm like, he's so full of shit, man. I don't think he gets it at all. He's terrible. Poor guy, you know.
Poor guy.
I feel bad for him. But now I feel really bad for him, because I honestly don't think he gets it. If you look at what Bielman says, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's what I'm saying.
Anything like what Tom talks about.
Different types. He's a different type.
Yeah, everybody interprets the information differently. He's definitely experiencing a bigger picture. And he interprets it through his own experiences, through his own lens that has shaped him, how he sees the world, how he sees reality. I don't know. I mean, he's doing the best he can. I want to have compassion too, you know, compassion.
And there's an audience that can now evolve a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. He's helping a lot of people.
Not for.
I think what it is now that I'm thinking about it and trying to be fair with him on my judgment, I think that he focuses on the journey, you know, just like the actual experience of it happening, and he's not looking at the end result. Whereas Tom is like, hey, man, forget all this other stuff about how you get there. Just get there. You know, and this is what you need to be aiming for. Whereas Billman doesn't have an aim at all. He tells you, hey, when you start to feel this, then you're ready to go, and tell me how you feel about it when you're out there. You know, whereas
Store now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Tom teaches us what to do when we get there. That's much more effective. It's very effective. This is what you do when you're there, and this is when you come back. This is how you are. Not that. I'm sorry. I'm just agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. So everybody's got their own way, but we got 5 minutes here, so why don't we take a minute each to just share any final thoughts or insights about the material that we looked at and everything we talked about. Maybe we'll go counterclockwise this time. So, Bojana, do you want to start?
Well, thank you very much for sharing. I like to hear your perspective, although I understand that we're all going to be looking at Tom's theory through our own perspective. But it's definitely, this is my first time being here, so I'm a little bit intimidated by the whole experience. Not to mention by the whole book, like, you know, like for me, coming from the second language, it's just a lot of new vocabulary, and it's scientific vocabulary, so I have a hard time sometimes digesting it, not to mention talking about it. But yeah, I'm definitely learning as I go by reading it, and learning even more by participating in the discussion. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, definitely big step out of my comfort zone. Yes.
Yeah,
for acknowledging it.
You're lowering your entropy as you speak with that.
Working hard.
Always. Switch on my lights. But Daniel, how about you?
Love this format. Love the learning and growing, even just learning other people's perspectives, which, you know, when they bring it to me, which is their data, I look at things a little differently, and it helps me learn and grow that way. So I always love these kind of groups and these discussions. So yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. Donna?
I love this stuff. I love this stuff. I love having a group of people I can talk to that can understand what I'm saying. There's not many.
Doesn't make you feel as weird, does it?
I just love you. I mean, I can't tell you. That's why I'm here every Saturday. It's like, I'll make the time. It's that important. It's that important. You guys are really, I think we did something special in Tennessee. I still feel that connectedness. And you don't get that very often. I think we were a special group there. Thank you, Vanessa. And I never saw you in the light that you see you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, and Bambi, how about you? Final thoughts, comments?
I agree with what everybody said. Same thing, totally. I'm glad I finally able to do it, and I'll make time. I'll always try to work around my schedule to do this. It feels good for my soul, and thank you, because you do a really good job of keeping everybody in line and hosting and doing and making that all takes effort, you know, and that thank you, because I'm not good at doing that stuff. So thank you.
Absolutely, Vanessa. On that.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing. Guys, I'm leaving on Tuesday because I got to go see my dad. He's taking a turn for the worse, and I'm going to put it up on the group chat. If y'all could throw some love his way, that'd be great. He just got he didn't just get diagnosed, but he's been diagnosed with stage 4 myelofibrosis, which is a form of leukemia. Which, believe it or not, it's actually not that. I guess it's late in onset, so certain old people can get it. But he's got complications with diabetes and other things, and I'm kind of thinking he might be on his way out. And you know, I don't know if there's any changing his life or anything like that, but you know, whatever good vibes y'all could put out there for him would be greatly, really appreciated. I'd be grateful to you.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you all for making this possible, for being here. It really is a team effort. You know, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for each other. So I'm really appreciative of this. I love this. And like I said, we didn't meet last week, and I felt like it had been forever. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm at Bojena's house right now, and as I was driving over here, we're in different rooms. But as I was driving over here, I was like, oh, I'm so glad we're doing this. And then Daniel, I was thinking of you. I'm like, man, Daniel's back for round 2. That's awesome. We've already done this a whole year, right? And now we're doing it. But
and
yeah,
I'm still learning.
It's that connecting with people who speak the same language. You know, that's pretty interesting. Like, yeah, you don't have to try to filter anything you're saying or adjust your thinking in order for them to understand it. Like, you can just be you, show up, and here it is, and everybody gets it. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I love it. So thank you guys, and I'll text out the details, the chapters for next week, and then we'll see you there.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Guys,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.